network method of EIA. So this method, it was introduced by Sorensen in 1971, and it was designed to explain the linkages between different environmental aspects. This method helps in illustrating and understanding the primary, secondary, and tertiary impacts of the developmental activities. Now, how it works? It identifies the pathway of an impact using a series of chains or networks between a proposed action and receptor of the impact. It attempts to recognize a series of impacts that may be triggered by the project action, making it possible to trace how an initial impact can lead to further consequences. Let's understand with the help of example what is in the network method. Now over here you can see the central box at the top represents the main project activity, which in this case is the rural road project. So we will assess what this project activity will have impact on the environment, means how rural road project will impact the various environmental parameters. So in this case you can see what are the main primary environmental components. So there are the main categories of the environment that could be affected by the project. In this diagram, the primary components are land and soil, forests, air and water. Then further you can see secondary and tertiary effects. These boxes represent the cascading effects that results from the initial impact on the primary environmental components. Each effect leads to the subsequent impacts, forming a chain or network of sequences. Now what is this cascading effects? It refers to the chain reactions that occur when one event or action leads to the series of subsequent events or impacts. In case of EIA, cascading effects describes how an initial impact from the project can trigger a sequence of additional impacts, each one influencing the next. These effects can extend across various environmental components and can be direct or indirect. Let's understand with the help of example. Now you can see road project have impact on land and soil. Then further, what is the impact of it? It leads to the conversion of arable land due to the road construction. Then it further leads to the decline in crop production. Then it further leads to migration, because the conversion of arable land reduces the area available for farming, leading to a decline in crop production and potentially causing migration as people they move to find the new livelihoods. Then impact on the forests. First of all, loss of forest area or species habitat will take place, leading to the soil erosion and downstream sedimentation, further leading to loss of endemic or protected or endangered species, further leading to change in productivity of terrestrial, aquatic and man-made systems. So loss of forest habitat leads to soil erosion, sedimentation, affecting water quality and habitats, and this can result in the loss of species and changes in the ecosystem productivity. So here you can see series of the effects. You can see it feels like there is some network over here, so that's why this method is known as network method. Advantages of network method: it is useful for checking second order impacts in a simplified manner, making it easier to comprehend the ripple effects of the project or cascading effects of the project. It handles both direct as well as indirect impacts, providing a comprehensive view of the environmental consequences of the project. Then there are certain drawbacks as well. This method provides minimal information on the technical aspects of impact prediction and lacks means for comparatively evaluating the impacts of alternatives. Networks, it can become very visually complicated, which might hinder understanding rather than helping it. Then networks generally considers only adverse impacts on the environment, Therefore, making decisions in terms of the cost and benefit of the development project to a region is not feasible using network analysis alone, because you will not get the idea what benefits the project can have. Cost benefit analysis method of EIA. Now, CBA method or cost benefit analysis method of EIA, it is a systematic approach which is used to evaluate the economic worth of a project by comparing its costs and benefits in monetary terms. This method provides a clear picture of the financial implications, aiding in decision making. This method quantifies both the expenses incurred and the benefits gained from the project in monetary terms, which makes the analysis straightforward and comprehensible. It involves the comparing the benefits of project with its initial costs, and the difference between these benefits and costs is assessed to determine the project's overall value. If the benefits of the project exceeds the cost of the project is considered economically viable and preferred for implementation. Now, this process of cost benefit analysis, it involves several steps. First, all the costs associated with the project, including initial investment costs and the ongoing operational and maintenance costs, are identified and quantified. Then the benefits which will result from the project, such as increased revenues, cost savings, environmental improvements, or societal welfare gains, are assessed and quantified in monetary terms. The next step is to compare the benefits to the costs. If the benefits are more than the cost, indicating that the net benefit is positive, the project is considered preferable. On other hand, if the costs are more than the benefits, the project may be deemed less favorable from the cost benefit perspective. Environmental Medium Quality Index method of EIA. This method is a systematic approach which is used to assess and classify the quality of the environment or the pollution potential of human activities. Now, this method involves several generic steps to develop numerical indices or classifications that represent environmental quality. So, various steps involved are: first is factor identification. Identify the relevant environmental factors or parameters that need to be assessed. These factors could include air quality, water quality, soil quality, noise levels, and other environmental media. Second is assignment of importance weights. Assign importance weights to each identified factor based on their significance to environmental quality. This step ensures that more critical factors have a greater influence on the overall index. Then establishment of scaling sections. Develop scaling sections or other methods for evaluating the factors. This could involve setting thresholds, ranges, or categories that represent different levels of quality or pollution for each factor. Then factor evaluation. Evaluate each factor using the established scaling sections or methods. This step involves collecting data and applying the scaling criteria to determine the quality or pollution level for each factor. Then last is aggregation approach. Implement an appropriate aggregation approach to combine the evaluated factors into a single numerical index or classification. This approach could involve mathematical formulas, weighted averages, or other aggregation techniques. Example of environmental media quality index method: air pollution index. It is a useful tool for assessing the overall magnitude of air pollution, considering the combined effects of various pollutants rather than individual pollutants in isolation. This approach simplifies the complex interactions and cumulative impacts of multiple pollutants into a single, easy to understand index. Now, how it works? First of all, you will select pollutants. Identify the important individual pollutants that significantly impact air quality. Common pollutants include particulate matter, sulfur dioxide, nitrogen dioxide, carbon dioxide, carbon monoxide, ozone. Then comparison with the standards will take place. Compare the concentration of each pollutant with its respective ambient air quality standard. Then you will calculate API with the help of this formula. So higher the API, poor will be the air quality, and lower the API, better will be the air quality. So likewise, you can also calculate water quality index with the help of this formula, and higher values of water quality index, it will indicate poor water quality, while lower values will suggest the better water quality. So we discussed all the EIA methods.